Coming up on Global Business, China-U.S. relations. U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen arrives in China for a 6-day visit as the two countries seek to further stabilize economic ties. Ancestral Tribute today marks the Qingming Festival, a Chinese tradition that honors ancestors and celebrates the arrival of spring through family gatherings. And old for new, China unveils a trade-in initiative to boost consumption by replacing outdated industrial equipment, home appliances, and automobiles. And welcome everyone to Global Business here on CGTN. I'm Michael Wong in Beijing. Well, first up, Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi has met with Timor-Leste's Minister of Foreign Affairs and Cooperation, Bendito dos Santos Freitas. During the meeting held on Thursday in China's Guangxi Zhuang Autonomous Region, Wang stated that China was the first country to recognize Timor-Leste's independence and establish diplomatic relations. Since then, bilateral relations have made significant progress. Wang added that China is willing to leverage its own advantages and tailor its efforts according to Timor-Leste's needs. Focus will be on 4 major areas determined by the leaders of both countries: industrial revitalization, infrastructure development, food self-sufficiency, and the improvement of people's livelihoods to create more practical cooperation highlights. Bendito Freitas said Timor-Leste-China relations have always been based on mutual trust and mutual benefit, and that Timor-Leste looks forward to working with China to strengthen cooperation in the economy, technology, agriculture, investment, and human resources, and also implement more projects under the Belt and Road Initiative. Well, U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen has arrived in South China's Guangzhou for a 6-day visit. She is set to meet with Chinese officials in Guangzhou and here in Beijing, as well as some economic experts and American business leaders here in China. Her visit comes following a phone call between Chinese President Xi Jinping and U.S. President Joe Biden on Tuesday, as the two sides seek to increase high-level communication. This is her second trip to China in a year, after visiting in July of last year. For more on the U.S. Treasury Secretary's visit to China, our Huang Fei joins us now from Guangzhou. Hi there, Huang Fei. So what's the latest on Janet Yellen's arrival and the agenda of her visit?
Hello, Michael. Yes, Secretary Yellen will be staying in Guangzhou for 2 days before heading to Beijing. She will start tomorrow by hosting a roundtable discussion with economic experts to discuss the challenges and opportunities in the Chinese economy before meeting with the governor of Guangdong, Wang Weizhong. In the afternoon, she will participate in an event by the American Chamber of Commerce, a meeting with U.S. business leaders, as well as to give remarks on the economic ties between the two countries. She will then meet with the Vice Premier He Lifeng, and those conversations are expected to continue well into Saturday morning before she departs for Beijing. Now, as you said, the timing of this visit is quite interesting following a phone call between the two presidents. Beijing has raised concerns about Washington's policies to restrict China's tech development by restricting the sales of high-tech goods, including semiconductors. So Janet Yellen's visit will hope to foster better economic ties and alleviate some of those tensions, but at the same time trying to protect the interest of U.S. manufacturers. And the fact that she's chosen Guangzhou or Guangdong as her first stop is also interesting. We know that this is by far the largest province in terms of the value of export in China, and this is also a leading producer of EVs, batteries, and new materials. Now, these are the areas where Secretary Yellen has been quite vocal about in what she believes as overinvestment or excess capacity, and that could be hurting U.S. manufacturers. So she will be advocating for a more level playing field. And she also hasn't ruled out potential trade barriers, although she has said she's very pragmatic and wants more constructive dialogues instead of trade barriers. But this could be seen by some as a heads up to Chinese officials about what might be coming from Washington. Now, regarding this visit, China's foreign ministry has also come out to say that healthy and stable economic ties are beneficial for both China and the U.S., and the U.S. should work with China to provide more favorable conditions, including providing a fair, transparent, and non-discriminatory business environment for Chinese enterprises. So it seems that both sides are advocating for fair play and a level playing field. So let's see what tangible progress might come out of these talks in the coming days. Michael?
Indeed. Okay, many thanks for that report. Our Huang Fei on the U.S. Treasury Secretary's visit to China. Thank you, Huang Fei. Well, China's Ministry of Commerce has reported that over 70,000 U.S. companies have invested and established businesses in China as of January this year. According to a recent report by the American Chamber of Commerce in China, 50% of surveyed U.S. companies consider China as their first or top 3 investment destination. Now, around half of the companies plan to maintain their investment levels in China this year, while nearly 40% intend to increase their investments. The report also highlights the optimistic outlook on China's economy and the strategic focus on the Chinese market by many U.S. businesses, which influences their decision to increase investment. Well, for more on Secretary Yellen's visit to China, I want to bring in Professor Zhang Gong from the University of International Business and Economics. Professor Gong, so despite their differences and despite what can actually be achieved by Secretary Yellen's visit to China, the fact that the world's 2 largest economies at least are talking at the highest levels is a positive sign, I think, for the China-U.S. relationship and a positive sign for the world, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Well, thank you very much, Michael, for having me. I think Janet Yellen's visit to China is certainly very much welcome. And I think it's probably already predetermined during the summit meeting between President Xi and Biden in San Francisco. They have already agreed to set up dialogue channels between several cabinet-level officials. And certainly, I think Janet Yellen's role as a Secretary of Treasury is an important part of that. And on top of this, I think I tend to believe that Janet Yellen likes China. He likes to come to Beijing. She certainly had a good visit last time. So I think this is part of the regular pre-planned working dialogue between the 2 sides. And certainly she's very much welcome in China.
Yeah, well, following her visit to China last year, Professor Gong, there was this economic and financial working groups that were established following that last visit in July. And since then, we've had 3 of those visits. So again, a positive sign when it comes to the economic relations between the 2 countries. But the press release from the U.S. Treasury Department on Ms. Yellen's visit to China says that she will discuss what Washington believes are unfair trade practices by China and Chinese industrial overcapacity. However, we did notice a recent report by Bloomberg showing that China's industrial capacity, well, that's actually remained relatively stable over the past decade. The U.S. and the EU both have higher industrial capacities than China. China, of course, may also raise the issue of what it considers as unfair trade practices from the U.S. in the form of export controls and tariffs on Chinese goods. So how do you view Ms. Yellen's comments on China's trade practices and industrial capacity?
Yeah, well, I think the idea that excess capacity doesn't hold even half water, in my view. I mean, this has been a ongoing acquisition emanating from Washington for many years. During the Trump administration, Robert Lighthizer is talking about this. I think at this time she's specifically referring to 2 industries. One, of course, is the solar power, this panel industry, and also the electric car industry associated with making electric cars, also batteries. I think what she's mostly coming from is essentially protecting United States industries, particularly I think in solar panel. Biden has an agenda for deploying in a massive manner these solar-rated, also other green technologies. And in a couple of these fields, and it happens to be the case that Chinese companies are quite dominant. So there are some manufacturing capabilities in the United States in these areas. It just doesn't want to see more exports coming into the United States and in competition with these companies. I think that's where she's mostly coming from. The idea of excess capacity, in my view, is just, it's not just, it doesn't make sense at all. You look at China's overall manufacturing usage of capacity. It's been hovering around 70–80%, for many years, and this is something very normal. As a matter of fact, and I have data to show that in the United States, its own utilization of capacity is also hovering around like 70–80%. So this is not nothing special about China, and I think this rhetoric about Chinese excess capacity is purely nonsense. I mean, it's everything to do with the protection of the solar power industry as well as the electric car industry in the United States.
Yeah, I mean, we were hearing from the White House that the Biden administration is potentially considering hiking tariffs on Chinese EVs, but again, that Bloomberg report noting that China's EV ecosystem, well, it competes on the efficiency of that ecosystem and innovation rather than on price cuts. But before her trip to China, Professor Gomez, Yellen also said that the U.S., of course, seeks to cooperate where it can with China on key bilateral and global priorities, one of which is bolstering global financial stability. And of course, we do need to see that given how uncertain the world is these days. So how do you see Beijing and Washington cooperating more on ensuring global financial stability?
Michael, I haven't finished the electric car story yet. You mentioned imposing tariffs on Chinese imports into the United States of electric cars. This is totally nonsense. This has everything to do with election politics, in my view. There's currently absolutely no electric cars being sold in the United States by Chinese manufacturers. Not even a plan to export electric cars made in Mexico into the United States. Chinese cars are not going to cross the Rio Grande, in my view. If you go to Texas, you know what I'm talking about. This has everything to do with the election politics in the state of Michigan. Michigan is very important in this presidential election. Both Secretary Yellen as well as Secretary Raimondo they're all talking to the auto workers in the state of Michigan. So this is not an issue at all, in my view. I mean, it's a man-made issue purely for presidential politics. Now, about your question regarding cooperation to bolster financial stability, I think Yellen probably sees there's a danger, there's a risk at least, that in the United States, the financial market it might get into a tumultuous period, in my view. Really because of the high-flying real estate prices and the high inventory of houses on the market right now, especially in the Southeast United States. And this may cause a huge problem down the road. And I think this is probably one area they're talking about to stabilize, the dollar as well as the macro policies to prevent that from happening.
Okay, we're going to leave it there. Many thanks for your thoughts. As always, Professor John Gong from the University of International Business and Economics. Thank you. And coming up here on Global Business. Ancestral Tribute. Today marks the Qingming Festival, a Chinese tradition that honors ancestors and celebrates the arrival of spring through family gatherings.
The world economy as we know it is about to change. Global Business reports highlight emerging markets, developing countries, and dynamic sectors worldwide. We feature top analysts and newsmakers to provide perspectives on every facet of business. From an on-the-ground perspective, we provide you with balanced and objective assessments. Fast, sharp, and insightful. Global Business, only on CGTN.
Well, China is marking its Qingming Festival holiday from today to Saturday. Now, this festival is a Chinese tradition that honors ancestors and celebrates the arrival of spring through family gatherings. The country is seeing a surge in travel activities related to tomb sweeping, spring outings, and food-driven tourism. China's Railways expects to transport 17.5 million passenger trips on Thursday. Domestic flights are increasingly preferred by travelers compared to last year, with over 4.6 million passenger trips projected on domestic flights from Thursday to Saturday. China's border ports are anticipated to experience a daily average of nearly 1.8 million inbound and outbound trips. That's up 74.5% year on year. Meanwhile, China's box office revenue on Thursday exceeded 310 million yuan, marking a record high. Well, during this Qingming Festival, several cities that were previously less known as tourist attractions have gained popularity. Let's take a closer look.
In recent times, the historic city of Tianshui has captivated attention not for its main cultural landmarks, but for a local culinary delight known as malatang, or spicy hot pot. Bookings for the city's homestays have skyrocketed by over 50 times compared to the same period last year. To meet the enormous demand, large quantities of hot peppers and potatoes are being transported to Tianshui. The daily transportation of these two key ingredients has increased by 50% compared to the peak time of the Spring Festival. Another city gaining fame during the Qingming Festival is Kaifeng. Tourists are enthralled by parades featuring local residents dressed in traditional costumes, reviving the grandeur of the ancient capital during the Song Dynasty. Hotel bookings have surged tenfold compared to last year. In the eastern region of China, the rural district of Lin'an in Hangzhou is attracting urban dwellers with its idyllic scenery and farming activities. Visitors can enjoy the beauty of peach blossoms, indulge in barbecues, and savor the renowned local delicacy of bamboo shoots.
Children will surely enjoy this destination as it offers a wide range of activities. Located just an hour's drive from downtown Hangzhou, the distance is easily manageable and not tiring. Moreover, we have personally experienced the carefree lifestyle of the enchanting Peach Blossom Land, adding to the lure of this place.
In the picturesque village in Ganzhou, Jiangxi Province, visitors are flocking to admire the rural scenery and partake in the tradition of gathering mugwort. They also have the opportunity to savor steamed buns and dumplings made with flour infused with mugwort liquid. These delectable treats offer a fresh taste accompanied by the enticing aroma of mugwort. The locals particularly appreciate these dishes for their medicinal properties, which include clearing dampness, removing heat, and strengthening the body. The unique aspect of enjoying these wheat-based delicacies with freshly caught shrimp and snails from the nearby pond adds to the culinary experience. As a result, the owners of over 100 homestays in the area are busily catering to the influx of guests during this time of the year. Song Yangtian, CGTN.
And chrysanthemum bouquets are high in demand during the Qingming Festival, and white orchids are also safe choices. Our Li Chung dives into the world of floral arrangements and the messages behind them.
As the Qingming Festival approaches, flower stalls are adorned with chrysanthemums, the specific flowers Chinese people typically bring to honor their departed loved ones.
This is one of Beijing's largest flower markets, with customers coming very early during the Qingming Festival holiday. As we can see, chrysanthemums are everywhere in all sorts of bouquets, filling the hall with a sense of solemnity.
Huang Ping has been in the flower business for over 20 years, mainly selling roses, carnations, lilies, and other flowers suitable for celebrations. But during the Qingming period, her stall is dominated by chrysanthemums, making it her busiest week of the year.
几乎没怎么睡觉吧，早上3、4点钟，晚上都加班8、9点钟，每天都那样。
The reason behind her dedication becomes apparent from the diverse arrays of flower baskets and bouquets on her stall, catering to different tastes and preferences.
原来的时候呢，就是，底下有一块泥，绿泥，然后上面插点花就完了。然后今年看它这个装饰都挺好的，它有新意，花的品种也多了。
According to the stall owners, elder customers tend to prefer traditional offerings, characterized by yellow and white chrysanthemums.
3年都没回去，终于今天有机会了，回去给我爷爷奶奶上坟，完了，其实对他去对故人是一种怀念。
Younger people, on the other hand, are more likely to make choices based on their personal preferences.
我今天主要是给爷爷奶奶扫墓，来这挑选的是一个花篮。根据我的喜好呢，我会选择菊花，还有百合花。
During my visit to some smaller flower shops, I observed that many young customers exhibit more individualized inclinations when selecting floral arrangements for ancestral tomb offerings.
这个叫绿毛球，这个叫勿忘我。
我想给我的朋友扫墓，然后我觉得就是我个性和他个性很像，我觉得这个花很好看，这个绿毛球点缀，这个花篮我觉得很有个性，清新的风格，我喜欢这种。
审美上的变化是很大的。 有以前的单调的白菊花跟黄菊花，今年呢有很多顾客呢还希望里边搭配一些小雏菊，或者是玫瑰啊、红豆啊、满天星之类的，每个人都希望有一些自己祭奠的一个特色。
Unveiling a blend of tradition and individual remembrance, the Qingming Festival enriches age-old customs with personal significance and a more modern expression. Li Qiong, CGTN, Beijing.
Well, China's National Development and Reform Commission has announced its commitment to promoting large-scale equipment upgrades and the trade-in of consumer goods. During an NDRC meeting, discussions centered around enhancing the implementation of policies related to equipment upgrades, consumer goods trade-ins, recycling and reuse, as well as elevating industry standards. The focus is on improving the disposal process of equipment from scrapping to recycling, remaking, and resourcing. The NDRC also emphasized the importance of financial support and technological innovation to facilitate tax breaks and recognize the crucial role of leading enterprises. And these efforts aim to invigorate consumption and stimulate investment here in China. Well, the Trade-In initiative not only aims to boost consumption, but can also promote environmental sustainability. Consumers are encouraged to swap their outdated appliances for new, energy-efficient models at discounted prices. As millions of Chinese citizens stand to benefit from this scheme, our Michelle Vandenberg explores exactly how this policy works, its potential impact on both the environment and the economy.
Vacuum, vacuum, vacuum. There's just so much vacuum to do every day. I really need a robo vacuum cleaner to replace this old thing. And it just so happened that last week, China released this detailed plan to encourage the replacement of outdated home appliances and gadgets with new ones at a great discount. So let's see what kind of discounts we can get. Right, so let's check out some e-commerce platforms to see exactly how this old new replacement can be done. So let's search for robo vacuum cleaner. So if you scroll down, there's an option of replacing the old with new. So let's click on replacing it now. So now you can choose your old things that you don't want anymore. So it could be home appliances, could be cell phone, could be tablets, could be anything. So let's see if I don't want my vacuum cleaner anymore. Okay. Oh, you can actually add more than one things to get a discount. So let's see, I also have a phone that I don't need anymore. All right, let's see how much that's worth. Wow, so the vacuum cleaner and the phone together will give me a discount to bring the price down from $3,600 to $2,700. It seems that at a click of a button, they would just come to the house to pick up your old stuff and replace it with the new ones all at once. You don't even need to leave the house. To find out more about the reason behind such stimulus policies, I talked to our old friend Chen Jiahe, Chief Investment Officer at Novum Arcade Technologies.
If you look at China's per capita consumption, it's lagging way behind the mature economies. I mean, China's consumption as a percentage of GDP is also much smaller if you compare our consumption with mature economies like North America, Western Europe, these kind of economies. And another thing is that the government is doing this through the marketizing way, not giving subsidies to the enterprises directly. That will be something that is not determined by the market, but they are giving subsidies to consumers who are buying this. That means if your product is not good enough, then consumers won't be attracted. So this subsidy will be given to the consumers through this market way. That means it's more efficient than just giving subsidies to enterprises.
So after placing the order, all I have to do is bring these old gadgets out and leave them here. Tomorrow, someone will pick them up and bring my new Robo vacuum cleaner. How simple is that? But be careful, it can be very addictive.
Gold prices continue to climb, driven by expectations of monetary policy easing by the U.S. Federal Reserve later this year. On Thursday, the precious metal surpassed $2,300 per ounce for the first time. Now, with a jump of over 11% since the beginning of the year, gold has now become more attractive as a safe haven asset due to high geopolitical tensions. Now, here in China's domestic market, the benchmark price for gold reached around 540 yuan per gram, while retail prices have been adjusted to nearly 680 yuan per gram. In other headlines we're tracking at this hour, Swedish automotive giant Volvo reached a new milestone in March with car sales hitting a record high of nearly 79,000 units. The company attributed the achievement to strong demand for their fully electric small SUVs. Research firm TrendForce predicts that Taiwan's recent earthquake could have repercussions on the supply of tech components such as display panels and semiconductors. The earthquake led to the suspension of production for inspections by chip makers in Taiwan, including the world's largest chip maker, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company. And global entertainment giant Disney emerged victorious in a campaign launched by activist investors. During the company's annual shareholders meeting, all 12 of Disney's current board members were re-elected, effectively ending the multi-million-dollar smear battle initiated by billionaires Nelson Peltz and Blackwell's Capital. And with that, we're going to wrap up this edition of Global Business here on CGTN. I'm Michael Wong here in Beijing. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again next time.